Thank you. The chair is now going to recognize himself. I am fascinated by this whole discussion. I've been heavily involved in this issue on official time for quite a long while myself. It's amazing to me that we could have government employees who have been hired to do one thing and they come on board at the expense of the taxpayers only to do something else. And all too often, it's 100% of their time. I just came across in fairness, another agency, but an individual who is hired to do a particular job for 8 years now. They have not one day accomplished the job that they were hired to do and making well north of $150,000 a year. This is, to me, just an unthinkable thing that's happening, where people are exclusively doing union activity when they were hired to do something else, day after day after day, month after month after month. And yet still being paid by the American taxpayer. Ms. McLeod, I would like to begin with you. 2012, the VA reported having 259 people who were on 100% official time. That has increased to almost 350 just in the last couple of years, from 3 years later to 2015. That's a big increase. From 250 to almost 100 people, more or less, let's just round it off, 90 people increase. How does the VA account for this increase? What's behind it? What was the necessary cause?
There's likely a few things behind it, probably an increase in employees. There's probably also the reason being, term negotiations. We've had some term negotiations on some master agreements, and so that would require additional employees to be on official time to participate in those negotiations. Local bargaining or negotiating on numbers and additions to 100% official time employees.
Okay, let's move on here, because I've got a lot of questions and I want to get to, so if you could keep your answers brief and to the point, I would appreciate it. We also, during that time, obviously have had veterans who had tremendous needs, waiting in long lines. As is already mentioned, some even passed away waiting, while we've had an increase of people going to official time 100% of the time, not to mention those that are using significant amount of part-time to do official time. Does the department restrict who can go on official time? In other words, are there certain occupations, carpenters, lab technicians, or what, is there any certain group that is allowed official time or any group that is denied 100%?
The department has no control over who the union decides will have the official time for representation.
Okay, so anyone can. So anyone who requests it, is that how it works?
Well, those people are chosen by the unions inside the agency to perform that work.
All right, last year I joined Chairman Chaffetz and Meadows in sending a letter to the VA requesting official time data. And in reviewing that, I found some incredible information to me, such as there were 90 nurses who are on 100% official time. I found 3 addiction therapists, a certified respiratory therapist, 13 nursing assistants, 3 pharmacists, 6 pharmacy technicians. I even found a doctor who specializes in providing limbs to veterans who lost their limbs in the service of this country in Orlando, Florida. A specialist who, and he's giving 100% of the time. Have these individuals been replaced?
My understanding, sir, is that we backfill those positions where the individual's on 100% official time.
You backfill them with new hires?
That's correct.
So the American public is having to hire 2 people for the work of 1. I mean, this is an outrage to me to think that this is taking place. Mr. Cox mentioned that the positive outcome. I see no positive outcome in having to hire 2 people for the work of 1. Not that people doing union work don't accomplish some good, but positive outcomes? We're creating a bureaucracy that's all on the shoulders of the American taxpayer. And we're coming in here trying to convince ourselves that this is a good thing. Ms. McLeod, when you have an employee who's doing this, you were saying that you have to hire someone else to do the job that the first person was hired to do. Is that correct?
If that individual is on 100% official time and that particular occupation is necessary, the agency will backfill that position and hire someone.
Okay, Mr. Kovacs, let me come to you, and I thank you for your work in this area as well. I think you share the same concern and outrage that I share, and many of us do on this. Something else that I found stunning is that the federal employee unions can actually lobby Congress while on official time, so that they get paid by the taxpayers literally to lobby Congress. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that is correct, on desired and pending legislation.
Okay, is that legal?
Yes, that is legal, although the Federal Labor Relations Authority has deemed it appropriate, I don't know how it squares with being, necessary and in the public interest.
Mr. Cox, it's actually on y'all's website that these on official time can lobby. Is that correct?
There are certain issues that can be lobbied before Congress on official time that would deal with matters pending before Congress, such as, if you will remember, several years ago, you adopted the advanced appropriations for the VA, the only agency that gets funded 2 years in advance, while many other agencies are now talking about how great of an idea that would be. That would be an issue before Congress that many people would want to encourage and lobby for.
Mr. Kovacs, to me it's pretty clear that current law prohibits federal employees explicitly. They're prohibited from lobbying and engaging in political activity at the use of appropriated funds.
Yes, the Anti-Lobbying Act does prohibit,
Anti-lobbying Act.
prohibit federal employees.
So what am I missing here?
Well, so even though federal employees on official time are considered in duty status concerning pay, concerning lobbying, they're not.
And why are they not?
That's what the Federal Labor Relations Authority has decided over the years in its decisions.
Okay, my time has expired. I appreciate the others sharing indulgence. The chair now recognizes Mr. O'Rourke for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let me begin by thanking